Hello to all movie and cinema lovers. On this channel, we are going to review and appreciate the Alien film series from new and different angles, and in this video, as the first video, we will give an introduction to this series. On May 25, 1979, the film Alien will be released. A film that is going to become one of the most important and influential films in the history of cinema, and one of the most important, and perhaps the most important franchise in the history of cinema. The 1970s coincided with the emergence of young directors and the continuation of the work of more well-known directors who were passionately seeking to present their ideas and thoughts in cinema, and many of the most important films in the history of cinema were made in this decade. Among these directors are George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, George Miller, Ridley Scott, Andrei Tarkovsky, Brian De Palma, Stanley Kubrick and Francis Ford Coppola. Among the prominent science fiction and horror genre films of the 1970s are Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Planet of the Apes, Solaris, Mad Max, The Omen, Soylent Green, Jaws, The Exorcist, THX 1138. Each of these films and directors had a tremendous impact on the cinema industry and the growth and development of various genres, including the science fiction, space and horror action genres, whose effects can be seen in the films and works of the following years and decades, including the film Alien, which was released in the late 1970s. The next important point is the influence of the films of the space science fiction of this decade is from the novels and science fiction stories of great writers such as Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Gentry Lee, Robert A. Heinlein, and Ray Bradbury. The influences of the stories of these authors caused the science fiction films made in this decade and the following decades to not be merely commercial and entertaining films, but to have greater story depth and seek deeper concepts. Another topic that influenced the science fiction, space, and horror genre and films of the 70s was the political, commercial, scientific, and space events of this decade. From wars to assassinations to changes in government, scientific discoveries, inventions, space programs, and perhaps most importantly, the Cold War and the space competition that was going on between the Soviet Union and the United States. Among the space programs of this decade, Apollo 17 in 1972, NASA's Viking program in 1975, and the Voyager 1 project in 1977 can be mentioned. In this decade, the world was thirsty for scientific inventions, space exploration, and issues surrounding space, and the science fiction and space genres were becoming more popular every day. Public opinion was gaining. Screenwriter Dan O'Bannon wrote the screenplay based on a story he and Ronald Shusett wrote, and in subsequent films, other writers wrote and produced the scripts for other films. Daniel Thomas O'Bannon was an American screenwriter, director, and special effects supervisor, best known for his work in the science fiction and horror genres. O'Bannon wrote the screenplay for Alien, which was adapted from a story he co-wrote with Ronald Shusett. He also wrote and directed the horror comedy Return of the Living Dead. The Alien script has the elements mentioned, such as space exploration, scientific discoveries, advanced and futuristic industries and equipment, modern technology, fear of space and the unknown, fear of a demonic and destructive force, and also Dan's mindset and attitude and personality on various issues. For example, the space companies that the people and crew of the ships work for are like film companies, and his attitude and mindset about them. Companies that want to own everything and take over everything and only care about profit even at the cost of destroying humanity. John Carpenter said about Dan in an interview that Dan was incredibly talented. He was strangely funny and, in my opinion, completely underestimated. I think Dan had more talent than the film industry allowed him to have. He was multi-talented, production designer, editor, director, writer. One of the things that endeared him to me was his rebellion against all power, including me, the studios, and anyone above him. He said he was going up, not down. O'Bannon said in a 2003 interview that he modeled the aliens' behavior on the life cycle of parasitic microorganisms. What I realized was that science fiction films didn't do that was the physical aspect, he told the Newark, New Jersey, Star Ledger. The real world offered so many examples of very disgusting things, and I thought, if it was good enough for Mother Nature, maybe it would do the same for the audience. One review said that watching the film was like turning over a rock and finding something disgusting. That was a pretty good description of what I was looking for. In this video, I address these issues because the Alien film series is more than just a science fiction horror film, or just entertaining. Although it is an entertaining film, it is also a great series and entertains the viewer well and can fill the viewer with the joy of watching a space science fiction film, and the viewer will thoroughly enjoy it. The direction, special effects, decoration, lighting, music, acting, and other elements of the film, and especially the story of the film, are all at a high level, and each version of the film has made good use of the elements of its time, which has made the series at a high level. In such a way that after 46 years, the Alien film is an attractive, watchable and enjoyable film, in a way that is different from many of today's science fiction films that are made with new and advanced technologies. They are surpassed and are of better quality and better quality. In the next videos, I will delve deeper into the issues in this series of films from different aspects, especially the story and deeper issues in them such as theories, myths, religions, politics, etc. Don't forget, Aliens is not just a science fiction horror film. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Help me make more videos by clicking the like button and following me.